Before Dave introduces our next keynote, Joanna and I want to spend just 15 minutes, not too much time, just talking about what UCISA does, what the infrastructure group does. Now, the fact that you are all sat here at an IG conference means you know about UCISA and you are engaged with us. But we just want to share a few thoughts. So I'm going to go first and talk about UCISA, and then I'll let Joanna talk about IG. So, and I want to talk about UCISA in two different guises. I'm going to talk about UCISA today. And UCISA today, we like to think of ourselves as being the voice of IT in higher education. And hopefully, as I say, because you're all here, you're engaging with us, you'll recognise that we have a very strong peer network where we can support each other and help us collaborate and foster that knowledge sharing, the sharing of best practice. But we do that in lots of different ways, and the conferences that we run, the events that we run, are just one of those ways. So a little bit of audience participation after lunch, just to get you fired up, ready for our next keynote. How many of you have seen or used our information security toolkit? Hey, that's pretty good. How many of you have seen or used our social media toolkit? Oh, one hand. So now the trick question is, how many of you didn't know that we had one? Ah, so that's why. How many of you are using in your institution our information security training package that we've provided to all of our members? Yeah, how many of you, another show of hands, didn't know that we offered that? How many of you are going to go and take that back to your institution and say there is some fantastic free information security training out there that UCISA has made available to all of its members? So we do lots of things. You know, the conference and events are our key sort of get everybody together, but there's so much more to UCISA. And the last thing that we're doing today is UCISA lobbies on behalf of the sector. So we engage with suppliers, we engage with government, with some of our sister organisations as well. So whether that's to deal with the ultimate fallout of Brexit, or it's to deal with TEF and other policy changes within government. But that's what UCISA is doing today, and what I want to do now is just share with you some thoughts about what UCISA could do tomorrow. And some of you may already know that we've been trying to engage with our broadest stakeholders to ask you about what you want UCISA to do. Another show of hands, how many of you took part in the survey that we did earlier in the summer? I think you should have all had an email arrive in your mailbox. Yeah. Check your junk mail folder. So what we wanted to do was to go out and ask our membership, you know, what should the future of UCISA look like? And some of the feedback that we've had back from that survey, and we're still going through this process, so it's not too late for you to tell us, is that, you know, you really do appreciate these events, and we want to build on the success of those events. We want to build on the success of providing the case studies, the toolkits, and all of that support. But one thing we do need to do is to try and engage much more with our membership in totality. So if you were to think about UCISA's membership of being every person within your department within every university, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's probably somewhere between the region of 16,000 individuals in the UK. And UCISA is only touching a small proportion of those. So we really do want to engage with our members at all levels. So rather than just being, you know, the voice of IT in education, we want to try and become the thought leader of IT in the sector, to challenge, to sort of provoke, debate. And we've been doing some of that here at this conference over the last couple of days. we want to continue to provide and build on a range of resources to support our membership, and to sort of build strength through partnerships, not just working with suppliers as we do at the moment, who very generously support events like this, but to work in partnership with them, so that ultimately we become the recognised authoritative voice of IT in the sector. So that's just sharing with you some of the thoughts for taking UCISA through to the next iteration. But as I say, it's not too late for you to tell us what you think. We really want to hear from you. So tell us what you're our members, what you want UCISA to be doing to represent you, to give you the support that you need in your roles, in your organisations. And you can get in touch with me, you can get in touch with UCISA in all the usual ways. So that's the bit I wanted to say about UCISA as a whole, but I'm conscious this is the infrastructure group, and I'm going to let Joanna tell you much more about that.
Okay, thank you. Right, well, when I agreed to do this presentation, I took over from somebody who did it last year, a colleague called Ian, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us today. And I made the mistake of watching his presentation from last year and thought, oh dear, now what am I going to do? He did it all. And a lot of you in the room, I know, were here last year, so I definitely didn't want to do a repeat. But the one thing that Ian had in his presentation that I really, really liked was he showed a picture of the new grass at Edinburgh. And I thought, I'm from Huddersfield, we're doing a lot of building work, you know, what can I show that goes with our campus to show, you know, something we've done? And in the end I decided not to show it because we've actually put some fake grass in. And it's nowhere near as big as Ian's piece of grass that sits between their lovely buildings at Edinburgh. We've got 3 tiny bits of astroturf, so I decided not to go down that route. Anyway, I'm here to tell you about the infrastructure group and what we're doing. And I think this slide really perfectly demonstrates everything that we've been trying to cover in this conference here over the last couple of days, because infrastructure is everything that sits between networking and applications. And it's really dramatically changing. That is a massive lift, and I've taken this directly from our infrastructure group webpage. And some of the things that stand out to me there are the terminology is a little bit old-fashioned. You know, where does it say software defined? Where does it say hyper-converged? So I'm thinking, you know, we need to look at ourselves as an infrastructure group and decide where these new technologies really fit in. And I think we need to do that in consultation with our members, you know, you guys that are here today. But for all of you that are here today, there's an awful lot more of you back at the office, keeping all the lights on, keeping everything going, and wondering how we can join all of this stuff up. Because nobody can be an expert in all of these different things. So I think really that's where the infrastructure group can really help. And that brings us into what IG can do, what we do now and what we can do in the future, as Adrian says. So the annual conference, this is the 3rd one. I've been to all 3. I've seen it evolved, and this time I've actually been involved in organising the conference as well. Not perhaps as actively as some other colleagues like Matt and Dave who've done the previous 2. And I hope you'll all agree that, you know, this conference, I think, has been very, very successful. So if you want to get involved, as I did in a conference organising committee, push you out of your comfort zone a little bit, make you stand up here on a Friday afternoon and worry about it all week as to what you're going to say, then this is for you. Please come and join us. Mailing list. This is probably one of the things that I find the most useful thing. And some of the topics we've had on there, I've had a quick look through what's gone on there in the last few months. And it's wide-ranging. Technical queries about very specific pieces of technology, looking for help in trying to make things work. Other people just trying to get an idea of what others are doing around a particular scenario, you know, technology, a problem. Sharing things like technical requirement specifications. What kind of things are you doing? I've been asked to do a project on this. I don't know who actually could do that. Helps introduce you to suppliers, you can pick up references. The feedback that you get from colleagues who've already been and done these kinds of things before can be really instrumental in helping to bring your thoughts together as to what might work for your institution. And of course it's very private. You know, sometimes we post things back to the mailing list and everybody can share it anonymously. Other times you can get, you know, really good conversations going. And, you know, I've got people who are here today that have helped me personally with lots and lots of queries and problems. As a head of core IT infrastructure, I actually cover all of those things and all of the things that come under the networking group as well. So I can't possibly know all that stuff, and I don't try to, but what I do try to do is bring it all together. And software defined, for me, really starts to bring everything I do together in a way that, as a generalist, personally, I can cope with, I can understand all of that. And I think it's some of the things that Arthur mentioned yesterday, changing skill sets. Your colleagues can help you learn new areas, you know, your technology neighbours, whatever you are a specialist in now, there's probably somebody sat on the next table that is a specialist in somebody else. Talk to them. They can help give you little bits of information. And you can do that through the mailing list. But then you can spark up some real-life conversations after that. In the past, we've done one-day events. And we've got a little bit of a mixed approach to this. We're not sure whether that is something that would be a good thing or a bad thing. But it sticks out to me really that if this conference has gone down as well as I think it has, what are we going to do between now and next year to keep that momentum going and as a group to deliver what you, our members, want us to do? So if you've got any ideas for one-day events or particular topics that you'd like us to consider, just let us know and we can see whether we can do something that will satisfy. Toolkits, Adrian mentioned the security one. Massive adoption. Is there anything we could think about in the infrastructure space that would help you understand some of this stuff better, make it easier for you to deploy? Case studies. We've had case studies here today. They're fantastic. They've got such an awful lot of information. But we could feature those a lot more prominently than I think we currently do on our webpage. So again, anybody who's doing any really cool projects, think about it, let us know. I'm sure you might not be able to necessarily put the case study together yourself, but there'll be people who can help and people who can get that going. And very lastly, because I recognise we're nearly running out of time and I didn't know how I was going to fill this 15 minutes, so there you go. The group. If I can just ask members of the Infrastructure Group Committee to just stand up. We've got various people around the room. We've all been hiding, but you've seen some of us doing other things. If you're interested or you want to know a bit more, grab some of these guys, just have a quick conversation before you go home. Thank you. And if you fancy being on the committee as well as being part of the group, then yeah, do let us know. You can contact me. I'll be happy to correspond with anybody. Alternatively, the group themselves on the website. So that's me done.